Everyone, and welcome to Focus on South Florida, where we examine issues at the pulse of our community with tentacles that can impact the nation and the world. And that's where we begin today. They lost their families, their fortunes, their futures. Holocaust survivors now in their 80s have turned to a U.S. Congresswoman to unravel what she believes is an international scandal of the century. And they are calling on both presidential candidates to step up to the plate, to not ignore what they call justice denied. Joining us at the table today, Congresswoman Ros Lehtinen, Holocaust survivor Mr. Herbie Carliner, who was just honored by the State Department, and Attorney Sam Dubin, who has tried to pioneer so much of this pioneering legislation. Let's take a look and bring you up to date with where the battle stands today.
This is the U.S. government stating facts that are not true.
Nearly 8 decades after the Holocaust, when millions of Jewish mothers, fathers, children, and grandparents were systemically tortured, gassed, exterminated in ovens, in death camps run by the German Nazis, a Florida congresswoman is taking to the front lines of a new battle, she says, to right old wrongs.
This is an injustice right in front of our eyes.
A mission to unravel secrets, family legacies buried in the ash.
These people were not paid, and it's just all one big con.
A con, she says, that protects foreign insurance companies, contaminates history, and bears the fingerprints of the U.S. government.
It's all a lie built on a mirage, built on an illusion, built on an enigma. It's just a web of lies.
Congresswoman Ros Lehtinen has done what no other U.S. politician has been able to do. She's introduced and won committee passage of a first-of-its-kind bill that would allow American Holocaust survivors their day in court. The right to sue international insurance companies with whom Jewish families bought life and property insurance in the years leading up to the Holocaust.
Every death, every concentration camp, they made money because it's one more person who died and one more policy they did not have to pay out. So shame on them. They do have blood on their hands.
An industry that, if held responsible, would owe survivors and their heirs what some have estimated to be $20 billion in current dollars.
Some of these European insurance companies that are doing business in the United States, they're telling Holocaust survivors, oh no, we paid this out already. And when did you pay this out? Oh, it was probably, like on their way to Treblinka, on their way to all of these horrible concentration camps. Hogwash. Nobody believes that.
But survivors are being told they can't sue. The U.S. courts have ruled that due to foreign policy interest of the United States, survivors are not allowed to. How is that possible? Critical eyes are now focused on ICHEC, the International Commission on Holocaust-era Insurance Claims. It negotiated settlements with some 75 foreign insurance companies. ICHEC says those negotiations resulted in repayment of $300 million. Critics say that's just 3% of what is owed survivors. But for some survivors, there's a chilling epitaph to the commission. Former and present U.S. officials claiming that the ICHEC agreement essentially granted immunity to foreign insurance companies from any future litigation.
I've never heard of people having no right to sue. What is that? That's not the American way.
Today, the United States government is engineering a cover-up of the insurance company's behavior and blocking Holocaust survivors from going to court to recover their family legacies.
Attorney Sam Dubin has been representing Holocaust survivors, including in efforts to get the insurance companies to open up their books and reveal the policies of pre-war and wartime customers.
The decisions giving the insurance companies immunity here were never agreed to. Were not what the law intends.
Justice has not been served. Justice has been denied to these Holocaust victims. And before they pass away, and before we don't have this legacy anymore, let's do right by them.
This is an investigation that is personal to those at this table. There is so much passion. There's such a bigger story behind the headlines that most Americans read. Congresswoman, many have said this is impossible. They could never get a day in U.S. court. You say I won't accept that. Why?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Michelle, because of all of the reporters we've dealt with, there's one who has really taken this issue to heart with dogged determination, and traveled all around to get an interview to make sure that you can get all these officials on the record. So thank you for keeping this issue alive, because this isn't a comfortable issue. You know, people are probably squirming, as they watch this. We don't want to be reminded of terrible things that happen in human history, but it happened. It happened to a lot of people, and Sam Dubin has been an angel to these survivors, documenting their cases, using all of his legal knowledge to try to bring them justice. And that's what my bill does. It is so simple. It does two things. First of all, it gives Holocaust survivors the opportunity to present their legal case in front of a judge. It doesn't mean they're going to win. It doesn't mean they're going to win one penny. It gives them their day in court. And number two, it mandates that these European-based insurance companies open up their records so that they can see, did my family have a policy or not? Honestly, that's all this bill does. And you would think that this wall of opposition would not be there, and yet everyone, the insurance companies, they're heavy players.
And it is, and we will be doing much more on them. At this moment in time, Mr. Carlone, you just came back from the State Department. Of course, here we are in the midst of the holy Jewish holidays. You were there. You were being honored as a survivor also of the St. Louis. But it was a very bittersweet experience for you. Why?
It certainly was, because I came to the States in 1947 after the war. I lost my family and started a new life here. And 3 years later, I got a letter from Uncle Sam, I want you. I was drafted in the Army. I served in the Army. I served the right way as supposed to be. And now I would like to go to court for my father had insurance.
Yes, and I know when you were being honored there, you actually had a letter handed to envoys of Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. What is at the heart of that letter?
The heart of the letter is that they should give us the right to go to court, that we had the right before, but they came at a law, they made a law that we cannot sue them anymore. I don't know why. Anybody else in the United States can sue their things. I'm a second citizen here.
Second-class citizen. I know that's how you've described to me before. And I know that you so welcome, of course, being distinguished. But, Sam, you know that so often these awards are given and all, and we look back and we say, we would never again. And yet you deal with the real-life issues of survivors today who are in their last years. And you know that it's a hard enough legal battle now. When they're gone, this legacy, this potential right of making insurance companies open up their books at least to tell the truth of what happened, you're going to even be on more difficult ground.
That may be the biggest scandal of all, is that the State Department that would honor Herb Carliner as a survivor of the St. Louis, at the very same time it has gone to the courts and gone to Congress and said that Herb Carliner shouldn't have the same right as every other American citizen to hold insurance companies accountable for the policies they sold to his parents. The honoring, the never again, the syndrome that this is something that we can't forget has really become more of a slogan, because the reality is that the U.S. government, the leaders of Congress, not Congresswoman Ros Lehtinen and her colleagues who have been fighting, but the leaders of both parties in Congress, willing to look the other way and allow these Holocaust survivors to be second-class citizens, they're in many ways performing the same kind of cowardice that the American leaders, the Jewish community leaders, allowed themselves to fall prey to during the Holocaust itself, because they are not willing to stand up and demand the truth. And the truth is that the companies have the records, the reinsurers have the records. What's being denied Herb is not only the money that the company owes his family, but the facts about what happened to his family at this period of time.
We will stay on this, particularly during this election period. Congresswoman, if you could wrap up for us, what's your message to the public? Can the public who are interested in, if at all, trying to bring this open, what do you ask them to do?
Well, I think that the viewers understand that our legal system. They see that people are bringing lawsuits for the silliest, most frivolous lawsuits, and they have their day in court. And yet a Holocaust survivor is being told by the judge every time they bring a suit, oh no, that issue has already been dealt with, and so they are legally barred from bringing a suit. And these insurance companies say to them, oh yes, that suit was paid out, that policy was paid out on the night of the broken glass.
Yes.
As people's shops were being torn down, your father or your grandfather actually went to the insurance company and cashed out that policy. Baloney. Or they're asking their Holocaust survivors, show us the death certificates. What death certificates in Auschwitz? So all we're asking for is justice. It doesn't mean that they're going to win a penny, and Peter and Ted Deutsch and I are very happy to be pursuing this in a bipartisan way. We want the leaders of Congress to help us get justice for Herb, for so many whom Sam is proud to represent, and I'm proud to call them my friends, and they're doing all they can.
And I know, when I travel around the country and I see so many different Holocaust survivors, they really do look to those of you in South Florida who have given so much of your time, of your lives to speak out, and have worked so hard also for those in need. So we thank you. This is absolutely a news story that we will continue on CBS 4 News. So many more chapters to come. But thanks for bringing us up to date today.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us.
We're looking forward to the time, Michelle, when you don't have to cover this, because Ileana's legislation will have succeeded. Herb will have the right to go to court.
Well, we'll certainly be there that day if that happens. We can promise you that.
Thank you, Michelle.